Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of Discussions with the Commander. Today, my guest is going to be Huck's Pop Culture Cafe. Um, if you're not familiar with him, I was on his trivia show where I was insulting everyone. So,
That was great.
uh, um, but so what I plan to do with like new guests and those who aren't familiar with you, just give a little like history, like where you started doing YouTube and where you came up with the idea to do the movie trivia stuff.
Sure, man. Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. This should be
Of
quite a
course.
yeah, like back in January, 2 years ago. So I just had my 2 year, anniversary. Is there a dog squeaking a toy? Is that what
Yeah,
that is?
it's my dog.
My
It,
dog.
it's the one. It's the one way where she doesn't bother me when
Yeah,
I'm doing live streams. So
yeah. My dog. I should go throw one out here. We'll just hear, have a squeak off, right?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I had sort of found. It's weird. I never thought of looking for movie related content in this regard, like looking for hunting and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And because I usually just watched other things, entertaining things, whatever. And then I stumbled across, I want to say it was Cool Duder first, just by typing in, Blu-ray hunts or something like that, just on
Mhm.
a whim. And then through him, that's how I found Dave. Dave was like the second one, our buddy Duran Cinema. Um,
Shout
and
out
so
to
between
Dave.
those two, yeah, classic Dave. Is he gonna pop in and flash us today or something? Yeah, I'll be prepared
He's at work. I don't think they.
to flash in today.
No, I don't. I think they frown upon flashing at work.
Well, yeah, that's why they have the broom closets, so they don't have to see
That's
that.
true. That's true.
Yeah, look, when there's a will, there's a way with Dave. We've
You're
learned
not
this,
wrong.
right? Yeah, and so I was like, oh wow, this is like a thing. And then I just kept finding one. And then I found Ken, and I just kept finding all these people. I found you guys, of course, I found you through, Dave and all the. I was like, look at these guys. They go out as a team and do these hunts. It looks like a lot of fun. And after just sort of rolling with it for a little bit of time, I got super into it. And I said, I enjoy this. Look at that dog. He looks like he's levitating or hovering. Is he? He's like, oh,
Yeah.
from the top.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
Do you
hilarious.
have a question for Huck?
Yeah. I always make my dog talk, by the way, whenever we're together. Like I'll literally have a conversation with my dog. And
So
sometimes he
I do the same
crashes
thing.
with me. I go, who's a good boy? And he'll suddenly just go, oh, ruck off. I'm like, whoa, hey, what's with the aggression? Then we have this thing. But anyway, yeah. So I just wanted to get into the community, be a part of it. So I said, all right, let's start her up. And the thing I started with that was a little different. I don't see anybody doing it, I think, because it drives people crazy, is the custom consolidations where I take all the stuff and I consolidate the DVDs into the Blu-rays. It saves on shelf. But in doing that, sometimes I also slice up the DVD art and put it inside as a backdrop, because why not? I mean, the DVD is going in the trash once I've consolidated it. So why not pop the artwork in there? It doesn't mean anything. It's not worth anything. I don't know why people lose their mind. Although there's a great majority who love what I do, who go, "Oh, Huck, that's so cool." And I kind of went away from those for a while because they weren't getting tons of views. But as soon as I brought them back, they instantly were getting views again. So I'm like, so that fan base was there. They realized someone's got to do it. So that's right. So that's how I got into wanting to be on it. And then, started the Blu-ray hunts and everything else that we all do now. And trivia has always been the thing that I've just loved trivia. I mean, it wasn't even a thing. I planned on making something that was like a cornerstone for my channel. In fact, before I started that, I had just done 4 trivia things on my channel. If you look for them, it's Name That TV Theme Song. And it's for the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I just put those up. And those almost, dude, I'm telling you, they got like no views. Like, wow. I'm like, I thought people love this stuff because I was seeing those things. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do them better. Right. But now that my channel's banging now, right now, those things are getting a lot of views. Now people are seeing them. I'm like, oh, okay. So it just needed the audience, I guess. So I still haven't done more. I want to do more of those sort of their own little standalone, unhosted things that people can just turn on and play with their mates or whatever, and then see how well they do out of 20 questions. Those are still kind of fun. It's like a little offshoot.
Yeah.
But and I didn't know what I was going to do with the trivia, how it was going to run, and and movies with Ryan and Pop's Movie Dungeon were my two premier guests, and
Mhm.
they were just like rolling with it, and then it's just progressed. And you guys came on, had the whole Steelbook crew. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
when I got Sue on, I said, Sue, look, you got to get the crew on because you guys will just trash talk, and it'll be no matter who wins, it's going to be hilarious, And
Yeah.
sure enough, you guys came on, and you were just at each other's throat the whole time. It was great.
I would say like it's the most fun I've had like doing trivia of any kind because like you didn't do the like traditional like just oh what year did this movie come out or something
No,
like that
yeah.
because I'm familiar with the Schmodown, which is a YouTube channel that does similar things, but they do it like WWE style for like
Oh yeah,
movie trivia and stuff like that. So like
that's
they
pretty dope.
have like feuds and stuff like that, kind of similar how we trash talked and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But they have like championship belts for whoever wins and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But
All I get are digital copies of your win. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. But like I just like that you use like images where it's like just one shot and we have to like dig deep into our brains like we
yeah.
know what movie this is, but we don't know like the name or what's going on and
Oh yeah,
stuff like
I tell
that.
you, it's a lot easier putting it together than playing it. I know because the
Yeah.
nerves are there. Like when I look at it, when I'm doing, I'm like, everyone's gonna get. I feel like honestly, when I'm putting it together, I want it to be fun, so I don't get too crazy unless the guests on are all like, I
Also,
want to.
don't worry, it's not alcohol, I promise.
Yeah. Oh, what's you feeling okay, bro? You all right today?
It's too early to start drinking.
Yeah. Gotta wait till noon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when I do those, I feel like I'm putting in a lot of stuff people are gonna guess. I'm like, "Oh, these
Mhm.
are just too easy." But then I put myself in your shoes, and when you're playing, it's like a whole different thing. I also don't know our generation. When you get into the big 5-0s like me and Pops and Ryan, all those guys,
Mhm.
our generation is different than yours and what I think you know. So I try to think about what you know.
Yeah.
It's very difficult because I know what I know and what my
Yeah.
generation would know. But as movie fans, I just assume you're going to know the classics that I
Mhm.
know. And that doesn't always work.
Yeah.
And so I just do my best. I hope you guys have fun. And you were like hilarious because like you started going, yeah, Dave, you're going down. Huck, you're going down. I'm like, Huck's going down. I'm not even playing. I was like, like, all right, Huck's going down. Better get ready.
Taking everyone down with me.
It was hilarious.
um, but yeah, it was just so fun, and
Get
it
this
was
off.
like the most like I don't know, like it just felt like I knew you for like years, just the
Yeah.
vibes you gave off and stuff like that. And like I don't get that a lot with certain like other YouTubers and stuff like that. And I appreciate you for bringing me on. And that was like our first meeting too.
It
So
was. Yeah.
like right off the bat, I was insulting you and everything. I'm
That was
like, all
terrific.
right.
Yeah. I was like, who is this guy? It's great. But I'd seen you enough too. So I didn't know. It's funny because I didn't know if that would be an isolated thing you do with your buds or if you're going to bring it on the show. But of course, your buds are on the show. So naturally,
Yeah.
yeah. But I just try to like when I click the button and we go on, I just try to have a good time with everybody, keep the energy up, keep the atmosphere alive.
Mhm.
Because look, that's why I don't tend to read the chats on my
Yeah.
thing. It's like that slows it down. Like it's like I say in front of everything is I want it to feel like a live, real game show. And the only way to
Mhm.
do that is to just once you start, that's it. You just got to go until you're done. And
Yeah.
it's been working. So,
But yeah, it's just awesome how you're doing all that. And I've actually been curious, like, what if you can remember?
yeah.
Because I've asked this to like the entire Steelbook crew. Do you remember the first rated R movie that you saw that you weren't supposed to?
Oh yeah, I do. I do. And it was an accident. It's a twofold answer though.
Okay.
And I don't know how it happened because it was only a fourplex. It wasn't like a multi 12plex or something where you
Mhm.
can get lost. I went into The Jerk with Steve Martin. And Steve
Okay.
Martin, dude, I'm telling you, I cannot tell you how much I love Steve Martin. And I grew up, I bought all of his albums. Like I was that kid. I mean, laughing is and comedy is just where I came from. And And so I went in there and the movie starts. And to be honest, I can't even remember what I was supposed to be in. That's the funny part. Whatever that movie was, I don't remember that. But all I know is like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm getting all nervous. Like, oh no, this is radar because it's such a little goody two shoes. What a nerd, right? Like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not supposed to be in here. Someone's going to come in here and put me in jail. So I don't know. But I was only like 15 or something. I don't know. Or no, the jerk, maybe 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And, but I couldn't help myself. I just kept staying in it. I want to say maybe I stayed through half of the thing. And eventually maybe I chickened out and left, but then I had to get my brother. I said, dude, we've got to go back and watch The Jerk. It is so funny. So I went back in with an official person.
There you go.
So, yeah. But I was definitely in there and I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah. Mine, it wasn't at a movie theater, but mine, because they released the double pack of the first two Terminators. And my brother was like, we're going to watch this. I'm like, okay. I was like 8, I think, and I watched. It was the first Terminator that was my first
Terminator. Nice,
but I wasn't supposed to.
It also I did that too with Alien. I was is there something karma about this theater about me walking into the wrong auditorium?
Yeah.
Like, did not have the thing. I think maybe back in the day, actually no, they just had 1, 2, 3, 4. Like there was they didn't even have the poster right outside of it. They didn't have the name marquee outside of it. So you kind of just had to realize you were going into the right auditorium.
Yeah.
And that's when I went into Alien and I was like, I knew I was not supposed to be in that movie. So I was like, oh my God. It was like just the first 15 minutes was scary. So
yeah.
Good old nerd that I am. I ran out.
We got Tony in the chat.
Sup, T?
Steelbook crew representation. We got Mama Blu-ray.
What's up, buddy?
We got Vince.
What's up, buddy?
And we also got Holland.
It's not a party without Holland.
And Cinema Geek. And now Tony is saying we need a rematch for the trivia night.
All right. Oh yeah.
I agree.
I would love that. It would be great if you guys are ready to come back and have a showdown rematch. That'd be
I'll try and be more sober this time though. Maybe I'll do better.
Or not. Don't break tradition for me.
Of course.
Like half the time you're just sitting there drinking. I'm like, dude, tap. We have a question. Oh yeah, a B. It's not an A, B. It's not multiple choice. Oh, Harrison Ford. No, it's not that. and there's new things now that when you guys were playing, like now I do sort of a speed round.
Okay.
We got the two images that you merge together to guess the movie. I don't think I was doing that.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't think we were doing that one when you were there. Were we? Were we doing the two images?
I don't think the two images. I know you did the audio clips. I remember that.
Yeah, that's everyone's fave. So the one picture at the front and the audio clips at the back, those are always going to be there because those are the ones people like the most. And I've learned that as long as I avoid copyright music in the audio clips, I don't get dinged. But I did one Mission Impossible quote. I was just like, what am I getting hit for? And it was like, Mission Impossible. Well, it's just
as long as you don't use the Matthew McConaughey sound that he makes in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think the third one, you'll be good.
All right.
But I'm also a big music guy. So what type of music are you into? Like what, if you had to like just choose one song right now, what is your go-to song?
Oh, my go-to song. Well, that's interesting. So if you go, that's a little different. There are a couple of favorite songs I have, which is Let It Be by the Beatles. Love that. And Under Pressure by Queen are just two of my all-time favorite songs. Just like pop it on anytime. So those are like, I always sort of tell myself are my kind of like these go-to songs. But I haven't just, I'm definitely a sort of a pop rock fan. Not really country. There's some good classic rock too, because I love like, Stones and rock and roll stuff like AC/DC and stuff like that as well. So those are kind of my wheelhouses. I'm not really heavy metal rock, that kind of stuff. Although a couple songs like Quiet Riot or something like that, it's kind of fun. No gore, no, not quite the Huckster,
What about Sabbath though?
No, not
But
really. No, I mean, and not
really?
that I don't. It's just that it's never clicked. I mean, it's got some of the
Yeah,
Ozzy stuff, which is fun. Like if it's probably one of their greatest hits one, I'm like, oh yeah, that one, and I'll listen to it. But I don't like
yeah,
own a CD of it. You know, my buddy did though. I
understandable on
one of
that.
my best friends. He was super into those things. So we would always
Mhm.
like influence each other's music. I think he influenced me more. Like he wouldn't take my bubblegum shit at all. He's
Yeah.
just like my pop, like, look, check out this, Tiffany. No, he's not
Mhm.
gonna check out no Tiffany. You
Yeah,
know,
my dad like got me into like Beatles and all that stuff because that's what he grew up with. And it was actually pretty cool. There's a place near me called the South Shore Music Circus, which is like a big tent. They have like a bunch of like concerts and stuff there, and it was called Hippie Fest, and there was like a bunch of like
oh
there
yeah,
was like a mix of like tribute bands and stuff like that from like that time, and it was
nice.
actually pretty cool because the Zombies were actually playing there, and
Oh,
I'm
sweet.
like, that's actually pretty cool because there's like a tribute band for like Badfinger and stuff like that, and a lot of them like they all sounded like the tribute bands sounded like good, like the original bands and stuff like that, and it's interesting because there's so many tribute bands for the Beatles, and it's like
Oh yeah,
there is so many where the Paul player never learned how to play left-handed.
yeah. It is kind of a. If you really want to be authentic, you need to have a left-handed player
Yeah,
when you're doing ball.
the
Yeah. There's
first one I saw kept playing right-handed. I'm like, wait, there's something wrong here.
we're not really the best tribute band, but because I'm right-handed, but let's go. You
Yeah.
know. I saw a good Queen tribute band that was
Oh
really
yeah,
good. Although I actually also saw Queen, so that was even better.
that's awesome.
Unfortunately, I
Uh,
never got to see it when the goat Freddie was
I was about
around
to
here.
ask, was it with Freddie or
It was
who's
at
the
the Hollywood Bowl, so it was premier spot, here in
yeah,
California, and it was with Adam Lambert. So,
okay.
and Adam came out and he did it great. There was lots of respect to Freddie. Freddie even appeared on screen and he sang with Freddie in one of those like duet kind of
That's really
things.
cool.
I'm like, yes, yes. Oh man, this is so good because
Mhm.
Queen's like one of my favorite bands. I also love Huey Lewis and the News. Come on, Back to the Future, man.
You can't beat
Billy
Huey
Joel.
Lewis.
Yeah, those are my jams. I'll put on Huey Lewis any day.
Mama Blu-ray also loves Queen.
Nice. Of course we. You know,
And then
cool.
Wonder
Alice
Twin
Cooper.
says Alice Cooper.
He's the
Um,
school's out for summer, right?
yeah,
School now
yeah.
forever. Yeah,
You
that's
lied.
awesome
It's
song.
not out forever.
I know, right? Well,
um,
for some people.
some people, yeah, but there's also those that's like, I want to go back to school. Which is like, did you really go through high school? Because I hated it.
That sounds like a McConaughey thing. When I get older, they stay the same age.
Yeah.
The best part.
Um, but for steelbooks, now for movie hunting, do you go straight just for steelbooks, or is it anything just
Not at
that
all.
catches your eye?
Not at all. You
No
guys are the
cat.
steelbook monsters. Yeah, I can too. Hang
Yeah.
on, let me get a Wolverine. um, no, I'm not really a steelbook person. In fact, I didn't really get into it until I started watching you guys and other people like Tim and Ken who love steelbooks. I'm just like, I'm not going to go down that path, because it's too expensive. Because for me, it's just about getting the movie in the best
Yeah.
format. But slowly as some really great steals came out, I would want certain ones. But like you guys literally head out and it's steelbook day, and it's whatever steelbook is out, you get it. It's just piling
Mhm.
up. And I don't really subscribe to that. Really, I mean, I've only got like 2 little rows that
Yeah.
maybe add up to 40 steelbooks total in 2 years' time. And some of that was getting like a set, like Indiana Jones. That I had to get 4 because it's all
Yeah.
4 of those. Those would look great too, by the way.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. Dave, you passed. It was $14.99. Last Crusade. Yeah, I remember that. I remember it. You guys pointed it out. It's on sale. He waited.
He did.
Uh, but yeah, and I'm picking up the Rocky set. See, I want to do that because I know that 4-pack is my jam because they're going to put a 6-pack out eventually. They're not going to. That's not going to be the end all be all 4K set for Rocky.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest franchises ever. So that would end up being a double dip again if I bought that. So I'm like, well, why don't I just grab the steel books? And then I'm assuming the other two, when they come out, will get a standalone steelbook and then I'll be set.
Yeah.
So that's how I roll. So it's very selective when I go to steelbooks.
Yeah, I can understand that. I used to be that way until I met Dave, and then it all changed.
See? He's like, well, Jedi mind trick on us, man.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the thing for steelbooks for me is the artwork that were on some of them. Like more recently now, it's like the artwork's not that great, but the slipcover, I'm starting to go the slipcover route.
Oh yeah, I think more slipcovers are attractive than steels usually.
I mean, granted, the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4K with the slip, I'm not a huge fan of the new cover. That's why I kind of went with both, so I could get both versions.
You felt great to get both, did you?
I did.
And that's another thing too.
Plus, the steelbook came with the poster, so.
Oh well, there you go. Got to get that poster.
Of course.
I see Mama Blu-ray also like ZZ Top and Pat Benatar, as do I, or Daddy Blu-ray is. I love those two. In fact, I saw Pat Benatar in concert, and may I tell you, it was so funny because I was with my wife, Becky, and then this couple was in front of us. So I knew more Pat than my wife, and the girl knew more Pat than her husband. And so when Pat singing all her songs, me and the girl are singing and we're high-fiving each other, and the other two are like, oh, whatever. They're like, at least they were cool that letting two fans like nerd it out. Then, we went on our way. But she was fantastic, man, because that was like in the 90s or maybe even early 2000s that I saw her, and her voice was still on point. So love me some Pat Benatar.
And Susan hasn't let Mama Blu-ray go hunting with her yet.
Uh-oh.
Oh, she hasn't come home from hunting yet.
Wonder what she found. Well, obviously a big old stack of stuff.
Yeah, I actually don't know what came out today, to be honest.
What's that?
I don't know what came out today, to be honest.
Well, Rocky 4. So if you're collecting those, you got to get Rocky 4.
And Tony says it's all Dave's fault.
Too. Yeah, Sue's a big steel girl too. Faux show.
Now let's switch to horror a little bit. What was your first introduction to horror movies? Was it Alien or?
Ooh, well, like real legit horror. That's a good question. I will say that walking into that theater was probably my first. Like, oh, gotta get out of here. But the first horror movie, I feel like I went to a midnight screening, and this is not recommended if of The Exorcist, right? So in the 80s, our multiplexes were famous for midnight movies, and that was so great because some movies would leave and then come back as a midnight movie. I remember Raiders of the Lost Ark played for a year. Baton Rouge, Louisiana is where I'm from, right? Shout out, big old little LA. And that would come back. But then that was your chance to see these other things that were came out earlier, maybe in the 70s. And I went and saw Exorcist. Man, it's all in that sound design. That sound design was frightening in the theater.
Yeah.
Because those noises were coming from all over. And that, when Reagan starts going nuts, just that sound design on her voice was it's creepy. So that was the first one that really pops in my brain as remembering in the theater. Even though it wasn't when it came out, it was still, in the 80s. And then, of course, 81, I think, American Werewolf in London. Freaking love that movie because that's got it's horrific, but it's also funny. I kind of like that little blend, because, it terrifies you and then it gives you a second to breathe and then you kind of laugh. So your tension comes down, which is brilliant, is a brilliant way to do a movie. That's kind of why I think Scream works, because Scream is scary when there's kills going on, but then sometimes the characters make it funny in between.
Yeah.
Like I just love the fact that Ghostface, he's one of the few horror icons that always has his ass handed to him when he's
Yeah,
chasing people. I
yeah.
love that. I haven't seen the sixth one yet, so I don't know if he gets his ass handed to him. But if you take him tripping and that girl opens the freezer door and slaps him in the head, I'm
Yeah.
like, but he keeps coming. I'm like, this is funny. Like Freddy and Jason, they don't get their asses kicked like that. Maybe Freddy once in a while, but no one ever slapped Jason around.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, Freddy kind of slapped him around a little bit, but that was in the dream world. But
yeah.
My first horror movie, because my dad grew up with them, it was the classic Universal monsters.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So he showed me like the Wolfman, Frankenstein,
Nice.
and Dracula, which Bela Lugosi is my favorite Dracula. He was what a vampire should look like. And then of course
he didn't do the fangs either. Bella didn't do fangs.
The fangs didn't come in until Christopher Lee was Dracula.
Yeah.
Which also, fun fact with Christopher Lee, when he was 93, he decided to make a metal album.
Wow. He's the best, man.
He really is. Like, just going through his history alone is just so fascinating. Like, he was the inspiration for James Bond. Because he was I forget what branch of the military he was in during World War II, but he was hunting Nazis and all that back in World War II. So, and it's like because when his character in Lord of the Rings, Saruman, died, Peter Jackson wanted him to like scream out and like yell, being stabbed. And Christopher Lee is like, "Do you have any idea what a man sounds like when he gets stabbed?" And Peter Jackson's like, "No," and he's like, and Christopher Lee's like, "Because I do." And then he goes into like what it's like, because it's like it's not it's just the sound is driven from your body being stabbed.
Yeah.
So you don't yell. It's just like it catches you off guard. Of course, you're getting stabbed in the back. So
never find out. Wow. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Jaws. I had seen Jaws. I saw Wonder Twin put up Jaws.
Jaws definitely scared my dad when he was younger and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't.
Too.
A lot of people don't consider Jaws a horror movie, which is weird.
I mean, what else would it be? Like, I mean, it's certainly at least a suspense thriller, but I mean, man, with the body mutilation, it's pretty horrific. I mean, it's not
the same thing with Silence of the Lambs. They're like, oh, that's not horror, but it's like it is.
It's got frightening elements, I'd say.
Just a little bit. That was good. Tony's first horror movie was Scream, then The Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, so you saw it after the fact.
I mean, at least you saw both Wes Craven movies, so I'll give you that.
Yeah. Nice.
But to wrap up a little bit, what is one movie that doesn't have a 4K that should?
Ooh. Well, I mean, we don't want to get into all the Cameron movies because everybody's going to say that. A 4K movie that I would like.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's I'd kind of like to see, because 4K is really good with black and white films. I just sort of pitched, I started something with my buds, Tim Talks Talkies, and Mega Mike, the movie man. We have the Collectors Club, and we showed off some titles that we wanted to, maybe people haven't seen as much. And I picked Tim Burton's Ed Wood. Speaking of like the connection, and Martin Landau playing Bela Lugosi, he's like, pull this thing, and I'd love to see that, or maybe even like Mars Attacks. It's just one of those sort of lesser known Burton films. In 4K.
Ed Wood is very underrated, in my opinion.
Very. Nobody talks about it, so but it's good, highly entertaining.
It really is. But I want to thank you for coming on with me, Huck, and being my first guest on my discussion. I probably won't have a hunt next week. I don't really think there's too much coming out. But also my next guest will be KB Loves Movies, so be on the lookout
All
for
right.
that.
Fantastic.
He will be on April 9th, so be on the lookout for that.
Hey.
And thank you again, Huck. It's always fun talking to you.
Yeah, my pleasure,
And
bud. This was
I'm
great.
definitely down for more trivia. So
Look, all right. So I'll pencil all four of you in as a rematch.
yeah,
So start
maybe
practicing.
this time we'll have championship belts.
Nice. I'll think of something.
The Steelbook champion.
Steelbook. Yeah, it'll be some sort of Steelbook award. That'd be.
And just as closing stuff, where can people find you on social media?
Well, you can find me over on my YouTube channel, Huck's Pop Culture Cafe, where I do all this kind of fun stuff. I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Although, look, it's funny because Facebook is just, I kept trying to use that because I was using that a lot. No one
Mhm.
goes there. So I do have a page over there if you want to pop in once in a while, but mostly it's now Instagram and here on YouTube and once in a while sprinkled on TikTok. I'm working on it.
Awesome. And thank you all again for tuning in, and I will catch you later.
Later, guys.